Welcome everybody. This is part 4 of the Herbal First Aid series, and I'm Erin LaFave, plant priestess, herbalist, author of the Learning Herbalism Workbook. Hello, Robin, Jennifer, Marilyn. I think that's James there saying hello. So today's topic for Herbal First Aid is how to make an herbal salve the cold method or the slow method. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hey, Danielle and Angela. Jennifer, Robin, Angela, Danielle, Carrie, Conita, Connie, Ellie, hello. Hello. Everybody's jumping in today. Good, good. Hello. Oh, before we get started, as people are jumping in, wanted to let you know something came in today. It's, the green cleaning essential oil kit. I just received a bunch of these that I ordered because everybody who comes to the Herbal Wisdom Retreat is getting one of these in their welcome basket. So the Herbal Wisdom Retreat is happening July 9th through the 11th in Augusta, Wisconsin. And the deadline for registration has been extended to June 7th. And if you're in the area and do not want to sleep over at the retreat area, then there is a discounted fee for not staying on the grounds. But everybody will get a welcome basket. The green cleaning essential oil kit will be in there from Mountain Rose Herbs. I love their packaging. This is like cardboard. It's not plastic, it's cardboard, and it's closed. And when you open it up, it's in more cardboard. So it's pretty cool. All right. So the Herbal Wisdom Retreat is going to be all about hands-on herbal remedy making. We're going to have at least 10 things that we're going to make, anywhere from, more in-depth herbal tinctures to easy things that you can do on your own at the retreat. So we'll like have make and take sessions so that people will have the choice to be making things together in a group at the make and take sessions, or they have a chance to meander around the grounds or do retreat things, take a nap and relax, do fun things. And then I'll be also doing group herbal remedy making sessions where I'm teaching you how to make things, what to put in it. We'll do plant identification walks because there's amazing herbal plants around the area, and trees and shrubs and shaded gardens, things that have been planted there on purpose, things that have been just growing there all on their own. There's beautiful art everywhere, sprinkled throughout these beautiful grounds. The mini cabins are so adorable. Most of them have electricity. Some of them have little kitchenette stations to be at, but it is going to be so much fun. And you'll get a basket too, a welcome basket. Some of the food is provided, but you'll also be wanting to bring your own food as well. It's semi-rustic place. Porta potties are there, and one cabin has a compostable toilet, which is that cabin's already been taken. But we do have some cabins left. People could bring their own tents if they want to tent it, or bring their own little campers. There's little spots for those little mini campers that can be in there too. Still time to join the Herbal Wisdom Retreat happening in July. All right, so part 4 of the Herbal First Aid series that I'm doing today, I'm talking about making herbal oils and then making an herbal salve. I'm going to talk about the cold or the slow method, as it can be called, the folk method, the traditional method. There are other ways to make herbal salves that are quicker and faster, but that's, it's got its own set of tips and tricks. But today I'm going to talk about herbal oils, and I have many things to show you today. So let's start with let's start with the easiest method, which would be to purchase your own. You can get oils that are already made, and then you can take the oil and warm it up and add your beeswax to it, into the oil, and then voila, you're done, right? That's like really quick method to do. But for those of you who are wanting to make your own and not have to purchase already done ones, because there are much more, you're going to be paying much more for something that's already done for you, which has its pros and cons, right? So here's a calendula oil that I did last year. And I believe this is an olive oil. And all you need to really do is put in your dried herbal material and cover it with oil. And then let it steep for 4 weeks. Infuse or steep for 4 weeks. That's what I do. That's really the basic part of making herbal oil. Get the herb in the oil and let it sit in there. Make sure that it's always the plant material is always covered with the herbal with the oil. Okay. With dried herbal material, with dried herbs, the chances of getting mold to grow are very slim. It's unlikely that mold will grow on your dried herbal material in the oil. So sometimes, shaking it every day or so is a good idea. And sometimes those plant materials will get stuck on the side of your jar. And if that happens, there is a potential that will mold. Usually if the herbal material is dried when you put it in the oil, the chances are much, much lower, okay? But if somehow moisture, wetness gets in this jar, that's not a good thing. You're going to want to make sure that any water stays out. So after the 4 weeks, you strain out your herbal material, and then you have your herbal oil. I do have some material floating down here at the bottom. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it. So, I could strain this out one more time, probably with some cheesecloth or muslin or something like that to really get out the small bits. It's okay if that's still in there. Sometimes it looks really cool in an herbal salve to have those little bits in there. But what I need to do next is take a cup of my herbal oil and add an ounce of beeswax, or take a half a cup of herbal oil and a half an ounce of beeswax. You melt it together very slowly. You don't want to get it hot or heat it up too much. I use a double boiler. And then once it's melted, then you pour it into your containers. And you can have really, nice herbal tins like this that you can get and put them in there. Always label what your herbal oil and which anything else that you put into your salve had in it. I always label the date on it too to remember how long it is. Or, sometimes I put it in bigger jars and containers. Just depends on what kind of salve I'm making, what it's going to be used for. But in the herbal first aid kit, I keep talking about, adding salves. So you now can make your own. And smaller tins, I usually like to use much smaller containers for my herbal first aid kit because I'm not typically using it often. And I don't want like this whole thing of salve to be in there for a year and never get used. But if you are somebody who uses a herbal first aid kit a lot because you're out camping and out and about a lot, then maybe bigger containers would be the way to go. So I know people are going to say, well, what kind of oil to use? And you can use olive oil, which is probably the easiest to find. Any kind of olive oil that you want to use. And if you're going to be using these herbal salves or herbal oils on your face, you might want to go with grapeseed oil because it's lighter weight. But any of like the vegetable oils that are out there are some animal-based oils that people will use as well. But I typically stay with vegetable plant-based oils. They're easy. They're fairly inexpensive. If you have an Aldi store near you, I know they have grapeseed oil at a very affordable price, and they also will have coconut oils and coconut butters too. So those are some thoughts on which oils to use. Olive oil is very stable. If you have your herbal oil or your salve for more than a year, it's eventually going to start to degrade like oils do, and it just will smell off. It will smell like it's old oil. If you ever want to know what bad oil, off oil smells like or anything like that, just put some in a jar and let it sit for over a year or more and just get accustomed to what the oils smell like over time. You'll get to know it. It just doesn't smell fragrant. Even with your herbs in it. Things just start to not smell as fragrant. You certainly can put some drops of essential oils in your herbal salves if you want to. Vitamin E oil will help to preserve it and give a softening of skin. And you can also use fresh plant material. I just mentioned using dried herbs in your oil, but you can also put fresh material in there too. So the fresh material plants, you'll definitely want to chop them up into little pieces. Don't put the whole leaf in there because it'll just kind of marinate in there. It's not actually going to let all the plant constituents into the oil. You're also going to want to let the leaf and plant material that you're using, let it wilt for a good 12 hours to 24 hours. Let some of that water content evaporate out. The water is what is the culprit typically for creating potential mold issues in the oil. So if you have oil and water together, they will separate, but if you get like an air bubble in there or plant material that's kind of sticking out and there's water and oil mixed and exposure to air, that's the recipe for the mold to start. So letting it wilt is one of the ways to get through that potential mold issue. Letting it dry out completely is another way, but definitely give it a try. Do like some dried plantain oil and fresh plantain oil and just see the color will change. You'll see that there's, more plant constituents kind of seem to come out. And there's lots of other tips and tricks of how to really pull out all the plant constituents for the herbal oil. But this, what I'm sharing today is like the simplest method that there is. So I'm going to show you, hopefully, if we can get the camera to show that, that what happens when there's too much. Oh, I shook this up, so you might not be able to see it too much, but there is some mold right there in the middle, fuzzy white stuff. Now you see how there's plant material on this lid and oil, and this was fresh dandelion flower that I was using. Since it got stuck on the sides and everything like that, so you see how it's stuck on there after I shook it, and it was fresh. It molded. It started to grow white fuzzy stuff very, very quickly. Smells okay right now, but this is the experimental one. So when people come to the Herbal Wisdom Retreat, they'll have an example of what it looks like when herbal oil goes bad. And it happens, right? It can grow really quickly, quicker than I think it's going to grow. And when I shook it, I should have got in there with a spoon and pushed down all of the plant material, or got a cloth and wiped the outside. The other thing that is helpful to keep this from happening is to use a jar that is this, basically doesn't have any like space for air. The less air, the better. So I could have filled this up more with oil so that it went to the top, so that when I did shake it, all I would have to do is wipe the inner rim and not have to get down in here. Or I could have transferred it to a different jar that was smaller, that really kept, all of it in and away from the air. All right. So some people, when they get mold, if this is just going to be an herbal oil turned into an herbal salve for themselves and they caught the mold quick enough, they'll just wipe it out or slowly stick a spoon in there and pull it out. So those are some things that you may want to consider if you really want to save the herbal oil. And then when you pull all that mold out the next day, if there's more growing, pull it out. Now, if it keeps growing every time you pull it out, you've kind of got a compromised herbal oil. So if you take it out and it never grows back again, you've got the bulk of it out, and it's just for you. We're not talking about what to do if you're selling these products. These are for your own herbal use, your own herbal first aid kit. All right, so there's a lot of plant material in here. When I strain it out, it might only be a half a cup of oil in here, because some of the oil is now soaked up into the plant material, and as much as you squeeze it and squeeze it and squeeze it, you're not going to get all of it out. And just with transferring it back and forth from strainers and cheesecloth, whatever you use, sometimes you strain it 2 or 3 times. You know, so you lose some of that oil because it's on the it's left in each dish that you transfer it to. If that happens and you feel like you don't have enough to make your salve, then just take some regular oil that you used to make it and add it to it so you get enough. So if I suddenly find myself in the middle of herbal salve making, I only have 3/4 of a cup of herbal oil, I'll just add more oil to it. Just regular oil to it so that I have a cup with my ounce of beeswax. So then I mix it all together and make my salve. All right, let me check these comments here. Do you place it in the sun to infuse? Sometimes I do. I just don't have much space to keep all of my concoctions like in the sun because the warming of the sun is helpful to pull the plant constituents out. Some people will do the quick method or the warm method where you actually bring the oil to, to a warm stove top or a crock pot or whatever and actually warm it. That's, like I said, different tips and tricks for that. So some people will put it in the sun. I just leave it wherever I can and wherever I will see it because I don't want to forget about my herbal oil, especially if I'm using fresh plant material. And but yes, some people will keep it in the sun. Some people say no, keep it in the darkness. Over time, after it's all infused, you strained your plant material out, you have your herbal oil. And if you're not going to make salve with it right away, then yes, put it in a dark, cooler place so that you can preserve it longer. The sun will degrade the plant material. That's just what happens. If you leave anything out in the sun, it starts to blanch and, wither and what have you. That's what the sun does. So, yes. Let's see what other questions. Almond oil is wonderful too. Yes, it is. It's lightweight. It's good. Do you have a solution to fix the mold after it starts growing? Yeah, I did talk about that for you. Coconut oil is okay. So there's the coconut oil that is, I think they call it coconut oil is at room temperature. It's solid. There are coconut oils that at room temperature, it is not solid. That's the one that would be better to use. Some people will take the solid coconut oil, warm it up and put their plant material in there and then slowly, have it warming for like an hour or more and pull the plant constituents out that way. But yeah, coconut oil is, depending on how solid that coconut oil is, depends on what you can do with it. Yeah, the fractionized coconut oil is in the liquid form at room temperature. Yes. So again, if you're ready to make your herbal salve right after your herbal oil is done after the 4 weeks, then you can certainly do that. But if you don't have that moment where you can make it, you can certainly strain everything out and keep it in your jars and in dark place. Or like as Sven said here, you can put it in darker bottles, amber bottles. There's different kinds of bottles that keep out UV light. Yeah. So Lisa, do you have any suggestions for material? I'm not sure what you mean by material, but in terms of what is good for some beginner herbs that you can find usually in any area to make an herbal salve, plantain leaf is one, and yarrow leaf. If you have some St. John's wort growing around you, you can use the leaf or the flower. The other plants that you could use, if you have some comfrey, that's really good for a salve. These are like what I call the green all-purpose salves. They have lots of different things in them. Calendula flower is really great and easy to grow. Yeah, what else? You could, try all sorts of things that you have in your yard and see how it works for your herbal oil. What else have I seen in my yard lately that's popping up that I could put into an herbal? The one thing I tried last year is sweetgrass oil, and that did smell like sweetgrass. Smelled really great. Lots of plantain out there, definitely such a great herbal oil or salve. And if you don't have time to make it into a salve and you need it, the oil just as is good for certain issues too that I've talked about throughout this herbal first aid series. And oh, some books. Lisa, you're wondering if you have any, if I have book suggestions. There are lots and lots of books out there. I'm a big Rosemary Gladstar fan. She has really great, easy recipes, and her books are easy to read. I like her book called Herbs for Vibrant Health, I think it's called. I'm looking around right now to see if I can see the complete title. But Rosemary Gladstar has a lot of great things. But yeah, there's lots of other ones out there too. If you go to my Amazon store at Full Circle Herbals, I do have a list of different books that I like and authors that I like. So that's a place that you can find those and certainly purchase them at your local bookstore if you want to, or right there on Amazon. But it's just a place I'm trying to list all of my faves there. So oh, Janine says she's seen a few feverfew blossoms. Yeah, things are really just starting to get going here in my area. So I feel like I'm still in real spring mode. All right, so there you go. You have some herbal oil tips and herbal salve tips, what to use, how to make it. And there's certainly many other tips about making herbal oil and herbal salves. So this, I just wanted to give you the basics so you can start making things. And it's, you don't worry if you make a mistake with making herbal oils. It happens. I have my mistake happen here, and I'm turning it into a happy accident to show you all. Sandy is asking about my foot because I hurt my foot and used yarrow. It is much better. Thank you, Sandy. It's much better. Kept it clean, put some herbal salve on it, actually, and yarrow, doing much better. Joan, can you tell me how much that equals? 1 ounce of beeswax. It depends on how big the chunks are, right? So that's why weighing things out can be helpful. But there are those beeswax pastilles. They look like little pieces of rice. That Mountain Rose Herbs has them, and other suppliers do too. But those are easy measurements. I think it's 1/4 of a cup equals 1 ounce from those little pieces. So yeah, eczema, wild, the violets, the violet leaf. So violet leaves are everywhere. So that would be a really good herbal salve, herbal oil for eczema, for topically. You're welcome. All right, so that is the last of the part 4 series of herbal first aid. Next month for June, the series for the mini live lessons that I do will be about connecting with plants. So I'll be talking for 5 weeks, because there's 5 Tuesdays in June, about how to connect with plants, why we connect with plants, what that is all about, and what that looks like. So that's what the June topic is going to be. We have the Herbal Wisdom Retreat happening in July. And be sure to stay on my email list, because I'll be sending out a handout that summarizes all of this herbal first aid series too. So make sure I'll make sure I put a link so people can get on the email list if you're not already. So, all right, everybody, take care, and I'll see you next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Bye-bye.